Hello, good morning. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you're following this program. If you are a new follower, we are broadcasting from the Gambia, West Africa. And we are on QCell Avenue, Serekunda. So I am Ibrahim Abalde. This is the program where we discuss a lot of things. We review the newspapers, and of course, we also every day we introduce a proverb, an African proverb, where we analyze and interpret the proverb and allow you to send in your comments on our social media handles to tell us what you think about our interpretation, and you can also share yours. So the program is back again. It's Tuesday, and you know I'm with Julde Njai. Good morning, Julde.
Good morning, Ibrahim. Good morning to our viewers, and good morning to my brother.
It's good to be back again.
Yes, it's always good to be back.
Yes, so our newspaper review guest is no other than Bala Musa Kurbali. And first, I would like to congratulate Bala Musa.
I mean, now you did it before me.
Bala has been promoted to operations manager here at QTV, and I think it's a well-deserved promotion. Everybody knows how active you are as far as your duties are concerned. So this is a position that you deserve, and we pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you and bless your new position. So Bala, that's our newspaper review guest.
Clock it, the new operational manager.
Thank you, Mr. Bale, my very good brother, and Julde, my special sister, right? Thank you, and thank you for those words, and I mean to the prayers as well. It's good to be here again. Yeah, and I look forward to a very interesting program. Most of all with Julde here, it's always positive, the energy and the vibe around.
Absolutely.
Because I'm used to being with Balde here all the time. But Julde is once in a while.
There should be a balance. Yeah, so viewers, we'll take a look at the African code. From the code, then we'll do the newspaper review with Bala Musa Kurbali. And of course, we'll be talking to Lamin Jiba, lecturer, Department Diplomacy and International Relations. Of course, Culture for Peace, Uniting Gambia Beyond Politics. Of course, CSO. Ibrahim Jangha, Student Department of Diplomacy and International Relations, CSO, too, would be here. And we will be talking to Dr. Abdullah Bajan, Clinical Microbiologist, Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, and Alaji Job, Research Coordinator, Medical Research Council, MRC, researching to end tuberculosis, TB.
Like you have a packed show today, huh?
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, it's not only a packed show, but it is a very interesting show. It's going to be very interesting because the issue of tuberculosis is something, you know, the conversation has to go on all the time. So let's deal with the African code.
So our African code this morning reads, where there are many hands, the load is light.
Many hands make light work. Yes. So here, let's start with Bala. Bala Musa.
Yes, it's teamwork, you know. That's why when you hear this, people say this a lot, that is two heads are better than one. You know, when you are doing something and you want to do it all by yourself, even though it should be like something that should be done by a team, or you want to take all the credit, you're like, oh, let me do it on my own. You might succeed, but the likelihood of failing, you know, it's higher than you succeeding. But when you do it as a team, you involve everybody, you bring people together, you work as a team. Trust me, teamwork, most results from teamwork are always successful. You know, so I think basically it's talking about how people should work collectively, most especially if you are working towards one goal. The only objective is to work collectively.
True.
Well, I think you nailed it there. You just took the words out of my mouth, Bala. Okay, you know, if a team is working, there should be one goal, one vision. It leads to achievement. Let's take a look at the example of a combination lock. You know, there should be combinations before a lock is called a lock.
Absolutely.
You understand? So if one fails, at the end of the time, it becomes a useless lock. A chain is strong as its link, you understand?
Yeah.
So it's important, many hands make light work. When hands are on deck, obviously, it's easier to pull through what you want to achieve, Julde.
True, I mean, as the saying goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with people.
Yes.
So that goes to show that it's very important. No man is an island. And if you're to achieve whatever that you're going to do, you need collective efforts from individual. No one just wakes up one morning and then you're successful. You're successful because other people helped you.
Absolutely.
It's whether the teacher taught you one or two things, your parents guide you, society molds you. So no man is an island. So collective work makes the work very easy, but also it makes the dream come true. So I mean, it's very important for people to come together and work, especially if people are there and they have the same mission, they have the same vision to actually get things done. I think it's very easy when people come together collectively. But when we are doing it individually, it becomes very, very difficult.
To take a good example, in the Gambia, we've been, you know, under dictatorship for 22 years.
True.
2016, we were like, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know, we want a change. And the only way we were able to achieve that change was when everybody came together.
Right.
All the opposition parties came together. And a good example also is in Kenya. In 2022 or 2023, I believe, they had this, the country was in a very serious situation where youths came out, you know, to protest. People died.
Right.
Because, you know, the government were bringing in a financial bill that was going to make the living condition of the people in that country worse than it was at the time. But also, the government had no choice but to do that because they were going through a financial crisis. But what did they do after that? They formed what you call a unity government. They brought in the people from opposition parties, people who they believe have the qualification and the capacity and the know-how to serve in various positions. They were appointed, even though they are opposition. Ruto's party was there fine, but he brought people from the opposition. They had what you call a unity government. Look at them today. They just launched their pipeline with Uganda, Tanzania, and all that. So the country is progressing. So this tells you that when you know you want to achieve something, like Julde said, alone you can go. But if you want to go far, you have to work as a team. So you know, unity is strength.
It is.
So we have seen brighter examples around the world where people unite to do certain things, to achieve certain things, and you know, that is the only way, I mean, sometimes to get out of a situation. So this proverb is telling us when we put all our hands on deck, obviously the burden it's going to be lighter. So that is what it is, Julde.
It is, absolutely.
Yes. So viewers, we'll take a short break. After the break, we will take a look at the newspapers. We'll be back. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde, if you're just tuning in. Before I dealt with the African code, now we are heading straight to some of the papers making headlines. Now, in Bakau, the Women Garden, they are talking about salty water taking over their crops, and this can be very dangerous to the production, the yield and the fertility of the soil. If people can remember, I mean, these have been incidents that have been occurring for a very long time, and you know, I think expert guidance is very significant at this point, Bala Musa.
Yeah, some of these things basically are expert guidance, you know, to be honest. Because when you look at, I think even in CRR at some point, in some of their rice fields, you know, they were also facing the same problem. No, not in CRR, sorry, in NBR. It was in NBR, yes. Yeah, they were also facing the same problem. Because I think from CRR to URR, we have fresh water, so we don't have the problem.
We don't have that problem,
But they had to bring in expert. I think that was in Jammeh's days, I believe. They had people who came, then we had this with Taiwan, you know, who came to push back the water and all that and help them, you know, access the fresh water somehow, you know. But I guess in this case also that is what should be done, because when you look at where the Bakau Women's Garden is, it's very close to the sea, you know, and the sea, we all know, obviously, is salty water. So even the wells that they fetch from, because for me, the last time I was there once to buy some vegetables, I went with a friend. So when we went there, I was like, this well, is it fresh water or salty? They told me it is fresh. So to me, I'm like, wow, because it's so close to the sea. So yeah, the water cable. So how is it fresh water? So some of these things, I believe, is only expert guidance that can
So me, I am trying to pinpoint the economic impact of this salt intrusion to the women's garden. We all understand vegetable gardening is one of the biggest financial gains of this country. When you pass to Serekunda Market, Latrikunda Market, even this morning I was telling PRO Siman Lo that the women of this country are definitely the backbone of this country. So the economic impact.
Economic impact is going to be bigger because, like you said, the women, most of the women in the gardens, you know, sorry, in the market, when you go early in the morning, you see them. They call them in Jenden Jais. You know, you see them there with all these vegetables.
Absolutely.
You know, in Basse we call them banabanas. That's where they call them here as well. But growing up in Basse, we call them banabanas. So some of these people, this is the main source of income. So when that is affected, it doesn't just affect them because some of these people support their families, you know. But if, for those in the provinces that I know of, most women there who are into gardening and all that, trust me, are the breadwinners of the family. You know, they take care of their husbands and even their kids.
A brighter example, I mean, in Basse, we depend mostly on women that moves from Damfa Kunda.
I was going to say that. Damfa Kunda, Kisi Kisi, you know, Nyakoe, you know, and those women, because the reason why I give that example is because I've been in the same class with someone whose mom was actually also vegetable. She's into vegetable farming and all that, gardening. She was the one responsible for everything with the family, because when I visit home, I know the condition of the family. So some of these women, trust me, they are champions. Like they go, they sell.
Rural women, they are like the breadwinners of the family.
Even here in the Greater Banjul area, most of these people who are into this, if you go to Sukuta also, women garden also, you notice there are these old women who are into, you know, gardening, they support their family financially. And some of these women, you know, they are the youngest in their communities.
Of course.
You know, so that got to tell you how much this gardening is important to them and how much it contributes to their financial.
And it feeds the nation as well.
It does, it does. Now, even basic netetu, it's $10 now or $20. So it goes to show that if those sectors are affected, it would trickle down to us, like the entire nation will feel it. I know that we don't import a lot of things into the country, but again, these are the women that are the backbone of the society. These are the people that we are depending on for fresh vegetables. So if those people are affected, it's going to have a long-term effect on the economy of the country. So I think the government need to intervene and help these women to see how best they can help them with the soil intrusion. We know that it's a climate change issue and it's climate change crisis. It's beyond, you know, human being. But I want to believe that government will support and then come up with solutions to help these women, because Josuwang Women Gardeners, that is a very important garden. That has been Bakau and Josuwang, and that I think I want to
it's around that
area. So I want to believe that it is a very important farming community, and then it has played a key role, you know, in the Gambia socio-economic development over the years.
We've seen before, most in the Greater Banjul area, you know, most of them were not into farming, but now we see a lot of people going into farming. You know, even the Lamen women garden.
Of course.
You know, we've seen there was a big, you know, noise about it when government wanted to take part of the garden. People came out to say, no, you cannot do that. This does not just support these women in terms of their livelihood, but also this supports the community. This is where we get our vegetables. When you go to our market, vegetables are very cheap in our markets because it comes next door from this garden. So if you want to take part of the land here, it's going to affect this woman. So before, we were used to, you know, getting all these things. Either people will travel from the Combos, go to the provinces, CRR, URR, North Bank to get these things, or even go to Casamas. But now we see more women in the Greater Banjul area going into gardening.
You can see how then donors, I mean, support mostly rural women when it comes to borehole drilling, you know, vegetable seeds and all those things. But now donors are also focusing more on the urban area. And of course, what I also realize is, okay, we are not importing vegetables into the country. What we do, we produce vegetables here and we sell it here as well. So it's more of a win-win situation for the country.
And but also the vegetables nowadays, because some of them are very expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
So,
They are
yeah,
expensive,
because,
I know.
you know, it's a chain. So if I am selling vegetables and I am depending there for my livelihood, obviously I will have to increase, because then it means that if I am supporting my child to go to school, I cannot do that anymore, because then transportation has increased, and obviously when that increase, all other sectors are going to increase. So it's a chain. You know, once one sector is affected, it's going to affect all other sectors, and we know that the fuel sector is the most important sector. You know, that can affect all other sectors in the country. So once that is affected,
when you see globally, you know, all countries are you know, in a very serious problem, because energy, when there is energy crisis, it affects everything. We just hope, you know, these whole problems, you know,
will be resolved.
Will be resolved as soon as possible.
Negotiations are ongoing between Iran and the USA, but now where the problem is Iran, the nuclear weapon thing.
That's a topic of its own anyway.
Of its own. So
but anyway, energy crisis is something that affects all sectors, like you said, it cut across all sectors. But you know, we just hope for the best. You know, so because when Balde goes to the pump now, you know, when he buys fuel, he looks at his gauge, he's like, did you actually pump the fuel?
In fact, it happened yesterday when I said to the guy, sell me 8 liters. I need 8 liters of petrol. Before I sit in the car and he pumped, but this time I was I was reading it because I couldn't just risk it. So I mean, Fabakary Tombong Jatta, Speaker of the Gambia National Assembly, is calling for a united response to Sahel terror, and you know, on the ECOWAS and Sahel security call. I mean, for a unite Sahel nation. So Fabakary Tombong Jatta, it's calling that we should unite. So considering the geographical nature of Sahel countries, do you think it will be very easy for there to be a united front?
United front in what sense? To
unite as one, and you know, put up some of the challenges that have been happening in the Sahel. We understand some of their leaders are very conscious of certain agreements. So do you think they would be allowed to come for a round table discussion?
You mean to come back to ECOWAS, or maybe to be united to fight the terrorism that is ongoing there?
Exactly.
Trust me, but the problem in Mali, or you know, in Burkina or Niger, you know, these are problems that people should not overlook. Trust me. It's in West Africa.
Yes.
And it's next door, you know. So every Africa, we see Nigeria, it's in Nigeria as well. You know, now also spreads to, is it Benin? You know, so West Africa, we are at a critical stage right now. I think ECOWAS, yesterday they were supposed to go to Mali to engage the authorities in Mali about, you know, how to see how they can work together for a response and all that. I don't know if they actually went there, but I didn't follow the news yesterday. But there was a statement out that ECOWAS were going to send a delegation to Mali on Monday to show solidarity with the government and also see how best they can work with them. Even President Bassirou Diomaye Faye also, in his recent interview on Saturday, he also mentioned, he said, Mali is next door. So if terrorists take over that country, we are not safe. And if Senegal is not safe, Gambia is not safe. If Gambia is not safe, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea-Conakry.
So we are all interlinked differently.
We are all interlinked. So I think this should be a regional response. ECOWAS, you know, already they had a meeting sometime last year with all the heads of the military of various countries within ECOWAS. They had a meeting where they wanted to put up, they wanted to form like a force that was going to be purposely to fight terrorism, counter-terrorism force.
2,000 troops.
2,000 troops, that they were going to deploy just for counter-terrorism, you know, measures and all that. So I think that is a welcome news. That is something that they should really fast track, because these terrorists now are gaining momentum. When you look at the attacks, recently they attacked Niger's main airport. Now, something that has never happened. Attacked Mali to the extent of even killing the defense minister. You know, these people actually, Balde, attacked a stronghold of the junta. It's a stronghold of the junta, the area that is considered to be most secured. In is it Kati? I don't know. I don't know the name of the place exactly in Mali. I don't know whether it's Kati. I'm not too sure. If Ade was here, I would have helped with the name of the place. So so this place was considered to be very safe because most of the leaders of the junta were living in this area, and they attacked. They penetrated. They even seized a town and took over the residence of the governor. You could see videos online. So this is a very serious problem that ECOWAS have to intervene, and the Sahel states also should know this. Mali, Niger, and Burkina, they cannot do it alone.
Well, you see,
they cannot.
I mean,
and I was even disappointed with what happened with the Russian forces there, because they negotiated to get out of is it Kati, or I don't know the name of the town. They negotiated to get out, and they left some very heavy weapons there for the terrorists. So that also is going to be dangerous. So this is a problem that ECOWAS will have to handle with other partners globally to see how best they can deal with this terrorism. If not, this is really spreading across West Africa, and it's not good.
Well, there is one thing that I am for sure. For there to be peace within that Sahel region, there should be a united front. There should be, you know, because no one country can do it alone.
Absolutely.
You understand? Because Bala just mentioned it. I mean, when it spread, it can spread to different countries. So it's important for other countries to get up and support.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think let us start with ECOWAS, putting their house in order first, because I think the main reason why these countries broke away from ECOWAS was the fact that they felt ECOWAS was not in the best interest of the West African region. So ECOWAS ought to put their house in order first before they can be able to, you know, because it's not just the alliance of Sahel states that are affected with terrorism, even Nigeria. You know, we've seen that happening a lot.
Like I said, Benin also,
you know, all those countries are affected by terrorist attacks. So West Africa in general, it's really in a serious crisis when it comes to terrorist attacks. So ECOWAS ought to put their house in order to regulate this and bring all these countries forward. If they really want to fight this and have a victory as far as terrorism is concerned, all countries need to be, you know, on their hands needs to be on deck. Like we said, the African proverb, you know, no one man or no one nation can do it. So it requires concerted effort from all these countries to come together, put their resources, both human resources and, you know, infrastructural resources and also weapons to come together and fight this terrorism. But like I said, ECOWAS has been a problem because over the years, even last year when they were commemorating, a lot of issues arise with the structure of ECOWAS itself, that it needs to be looked at and people need to really change the structure of ECOWAS. So I want to believe that not just ECOWAS, but even AU.
Yeah,
you know,
Ruto recently mentioned, he said AU is dysfunctional.
Yes.
He said
William
AU is not
Ruto,
serving its purpose, you know, and yeah, one will agree with him, to be honest, looking at things that are happening in Africa and the stance of the AU when it comes to issues within the continent. But also, with regards to ECOWAS, I think the only problem people have with ECOWAS is well structured. When you look at their structure, it is a well structured and functioning organization. Trust me, organization, or one would say.
What have they
But
achieved?
the problem, no. They have achieved a lot. In the Gambia, for instance, let's take a good example of the Gambia. We are in this change today thanks to ECOWAS. If ECOWAS had not intervened, we would not be in the change that we have today. So ECOWAS is working and it functions. But the only problem...
We can agree.
So the only problem... No, but I'm trying to get to a point.
Yes.
The only issue a lot of people raise with ECOWAS is that the issue of term limits. You know, because the people believe because of all this, the reason why we have these military takeovers and all that is because those countries don't have term limits. Or even if they do, next minute the presidents will come and change the constitution and run for a third term, for a fourth term. So these are some of the things that ECOWAS should, you know, engage the member states on more to see how best they can all comply with the term limits and to make sure, you know, when there are term limits, no president will come back again and, you know, change the constitution to run again. We have seen in Cote d'Ivoire, we've seen it in Guinea, you know, and other countries. So these are problems that ECOWAS is dealing with and they have to solve. But when it comes to functionality, it's well structured. You know.
Yeah, the structure is there. And, you know, let's take a look at, on the Point newspaper, opposition coalition adopts code of conduct ahead of December polls. Still the coalition talk is ongoing, and we've seen recently, you know, a lot of parties joining, registered parties and people that intend to register, joining the conversation. But it's one thing to join the conversation, but it's another thing to carry out the functions of the coalition.
Yes, you're right. Those are two different things. But also, I think everything starts with dialogue. So the fact that there is dialogue taking place already, so that is positive. Whether they will all agree to come together and form a coalition or not, but one will be certain that there will be a coalition, at least. It depends on whether all the parties involved will be involved or not, but there will be one.
But you
because
know,
already there are conversations ongoing.
My next question here is, sorry, the United Democratic Party have made it point clear. If we are to go in a coalition, we have to be the leaders. We will lead. So that is my kind of doubt about this coalition.
Yeah, the UDP made it clear that they will only go in for a party-led coalition. That is, other parties will come and endorse, just like the case of NPP.
Yeah.
You know, it's a party. NPP is not. It's a coalition. It's a party-led coalition where you have APRC and other parties. So UDP also are calling for that. That they are ready for a party-led coalition because they believe they have the numbers. They are the biggest opposition party in this country. So other parties will come and join them, endorse their candidate, and then that's it. That will form a coalition. There's nothing like having a name like in 2016 we had Barrow, you know, independent candidate and all that. But UDP are calling in for a party-led where a UDP flag bearer will be on the ballot box, but other parties will endorse the candidate. But even with that, Balde, we will still have coalitions, I believe. For me, from the look of things, there will be coalitions, but not one coalition, more than one. That's what I think, because looking at the dynamics, looking at the way things are going, but also it's politics. Dynamics can change.
They can.
As far as there are conversations going on, you will be surprised to see all these parties maybe endorse UDP. Or maybe UDP were like, okay, based on our dialogue and conversations, we want to change our position. We want to do this. So, and from now against November, I think, or September, it's a long time in politics. So anything can happen.
You did mention the issue of coalitions, and already 3 political parties have signed a memorandum of understanding. That is the National Democratic Party, the Gambia Alliance for National Unity, and the with Alliance Reorientation Economic Force. They have signed a memorandum.
I saw that was it yesterday? I saw that.
Yeah. So obviously we're going to have a lot of coalitions as far as the December presidential election is concerned. So let us just wait and see.
We already have one, so maybe we'll have others. We already have one.
Yeah.
That is the NPP-led coalition. So
that has been there.
Yeah, I know.
That has been there.
So let's take a look at news beyond our borders, South Africa. What's happening there is really a terrible one. And Nigeria plans to repatriate national willing to leave South Africa after attacks.
This has been ongoing in South Africa. This is not the first time we've been hearing this xenophobic attacks.
Yeah.
You know, it has been happening in South Africa, and you know, like you said, AU, you know, they will just put out statements and other countries that are affected. But in this case, Nigeria are saying they are most affected, you know, when it comes to some of these attacks in South Africa, their citizens. And they have offered to, you know, return those citizens affected back to Nigeria, those who are willing to go back, those who are willing. But Bale, you know, this here to tell you, the economic situation in that country is really rough, you know, to be honest. Because when you look at the way some people live in that country, maybe when you see Johannesburg, you see the beautiful side of it and all that.
The infrastructure.
But, you know, when you look,
deep
into South Africa,
you realize
there are people who live, you know, usually they will say below $2, but I will say below $1. You know,
of course,
to be honest. So people who live in abject poverty. So some of these people see Balde go to South Africa. Balde opens a small shop. Maybe before Balde goes to South Africa, Balde went with a capital. You know, at least that will help him to open a small shop at the corner, start selling and all that. Next minute you see Balde driving his own car, and you are from that country. You know, you don't have a job, so you think, you know, Balde and others who come into your country,
they took our jobs.
Yes, are the reason why. So I saw a video where an activist, a very popular human rights activist, was actually part of it this time around, saying, you know what, go back to your countries and fix your countries. You know, stay in your countries. You
and I've also seen a video where a group of women going around telling foreigners to close down their shops and go back. Even hospitals, they'll come and tell you, if you are not South African, please leave this hospital. You understand? So it's really
and this guy,
a sad one.
I think the government, to be honest, have not done enough, you know, to solve this problem. Because I saw a video where the police were running side by side with the mob, I would say, who were going to attack these people. And side by side. They were running side by side.
And the most, you know, the worst thing is some of them are beaten.
Yeah, you see that. You see some of them with very dangerous weapons.
Some people, some of them are beaten.
Yeah.
I think as a foreigner, if you think the conditions are not favorable anymore, your life is more important than any other thing. So it's better to take a flight and come back, no matter what you have there.
When you look at history, South Africa is the last country or the least that you will expect will behave this way.
Exactly.
You know, like their opposition leader even said, Malema, he said, you know, you guys forget too easy. He said Zimbabwe. They attack people from Zimbabwe. He said these are people who opened their doors for us. I mentioned it here, was it 2 weeks ago? These are people who opened their doors for us when we were in need. They allow us to, you know, to live in their homes. They gave us food. They gave us shelter. They took care of us until when we felt like, okay, we have our country, not full, we don't full own our country, we own our country partially. Now we are back to our country and we are telling those people, you know, we don't want you in our country. Go back.
See, I think, I think if we travel to Europe using the back way and we are also sent back to our country, I think Africa should have been conscious enough. Do you remember that famous saying, Ghana must go?
Yeah,
you know,
that's Nigeria and Ghana.
Yeah, so it happened.
Right.
You know? So I think we should now move away from those primitive.
And these things are dangerous, Bale, because the last one that happened, I can't remember the year exactly, but when it happened, Nigerians also went to attack. I mentioned this too. I think I had a conversation with Ade. We were talking about it. I think Nigerians also went out in Nigeria to hunt for South Africans. Because MTN is a South African company. They are in Nigeria. So Nigerians were going out to attack people who were actually working this company, vandalizing their towers, you know, anything that they see MTN, they just go in and vandalize these things.
Even this one, because 2 Nigerians have been reported dead, and you can see that online, people are coming to say that Nigerians are going to retaliate as far as this thing is concerned. So it's dangerous. And now the conversation about xenophobia, Afrophobia, because now it's not about definition of xenophobia itself. We are saying, no, it's not more about xenophobia, because you have a lot of people, whites who are residing in South Africa and they own big corporate businesses, but those people are not affected. So it's no more about xenophobia. This is Afrophobia. You know, it's targeting Africans, not xenophobia.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I agree, because this basically there are people they are attacking Africans, you know, who are settling in their country. So it's not. So
this is what
like it used to be.
This is what it was. So thank you very much, Bala, for reviewing the papers with us. And it was really quite a very interesting session. And I know before end of the week we are going to do this again.
It's good to be here always with you and Julde. You know, whenever I see Julde, I'm like, yes, and Balde, this is going to be a good one.
So
thank you for having me.
Yeah, so viewers, we'll take a short break, and after the break, the program is going to continue. We'll be back. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back again after the break. Now let's move to the other segment of this program, Culture for Peace, Uniting Gambians Beyond Politics. Julde, this is very important.
Absolutely.
I mean, anything that has to unite Gambians and that has to not consider our political difference.
Especially at this time of the election.
It's important for us to have a conversation around that. So the right topic at the right time on the right platform. Yeah, so we have 2 gentlemen here. Good morning. Please introduce yourselves.
Good morning, Mr. Balde. Good morning, Julde. I am Mr. Lamin Jiwa, a lecturer at the Civil Service University, Department of Diplomacy and International Relations. Thank you.
Good morning, Balde. Good morning, Julde. My name is Ibrahim Jangha, the Information and Communications Minister of the Diplomacy and International Relations Students Association.
Thank you. Yeah, so let's delve into the conversation. We would like to know the importance of this event, uniting people. What does culture means, you know, combined with peace in our Gambian context?
Diplomacy,
thank you so much, Mr. Balde. I think this is a very important you know, endeavor, especially when it comes to cultural diplomacy, because culture obviously serves as a tool to unite people. Because most often than not, you realize that politics, in as much as it is important for democracy, it is important for, you know, advancing nations, but you realize that sometimes it can be so divisive, especially when it is not managed. The rhetorics that actually come across during political cycles can be so divisive, especially in our country. And that is why we deem it fit to actually come up with this theme, that is Culture for Peace, Uniting Gambians Beyond Politics. Because we definitely know that there will be divisions. Because when politics comes in the fray, there is usually that identity that comes. People will obviously align to their political parties, and that creates an identity. And identity, if not checked, obviously it's a major causative factor of conflict. So that is why we choose this theme. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond the national boundaries. You know, as Department of International Relations, we feel that the Gambian culture is rich enough for us to actually leverage it in our international interaction with partners across the globe. And that is why we make this an annual event now. Every year we will actually set a day aside to celebrate this day. And this is obviously the 3rd edition.
Okay.
So Ibrahim, cultural diplomacy, it's very important, especially for the younger generation to actually embrace it. We've seen tensions all over the world. And how does students at the Civil Service University embrace initiatives like this, and how have their participation been?
Well, as aspiring diplomats, one thing we are taught is to actually fuel anything that has to do with unity, and understanding that this particular event is basically about uniting people, because culture historically is known for uniting people, because once people understand each other's culture, it makes it easier for them to embrace one another. And as children that have grown in the Gambia here, we grew with people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and even different religions. So this particular event is that particular event that we are going to sit and be like, yeah, one needs to understand that people may come from different cultures, but at the end of the day, we are bound by one thing, that is the Gambia. And this particular event is something that students actually embrace. When you go to this school right now, you step in this school right now, it's like everybody is talking about this particular event. So the preparations are on high gear, because it's something that students have definitely built a lot of interest in. So at our own level as students, we are eager and we are more than ready for the event.
Mr. Jiba, you did mention that this is an annual event, you know, at the MDI and now the Civil Service University. Right. What does normally obtain as far as the celebration of cultural diplomacy is concerned?
Yeah, so basically what we're trying to do is, first we definitely want to showcase the Gambian culture. And when you look at our culture, it's actually very wide.
Yes.
So some of the things that we focus on, obviously, has to do with you know, the outfits in terms of attire, but also the traditional performances of this culture in terms of music, in terms of dancing, and so on. But also even the cuisine, like what food do, you know, the Jolas, actually their traditional food, the traditional food of the Wolofs, and so on and so forth. So we look at all of these elements, and I think these are things even at a global level that can actually foster, you know, mutual understanding between people. Because if you invite somebody for a meal and then you give the person your traditional meal, obviously the person appreciates your culture, and then it fosters that sense of unity. That is one aspect of it. But also, I think the bigger picture here is it obviously unites the students. Because what we do, this is deliberate and purposeful. We deliberately spread students into different cultures. So different classes will actually be assigned to different. And in those classes, you realize that there might be combination of all the Gambian cultures. But their efforts, their preparation is obviously to learn about one specific culture. If it's the Jola, all the students, whether you are a Fula, Manjako, Serere, you are learning about the Jola culture. And this enables them to understand that culture more, appreciate the culture, and they are so much passionate about it because they want to celebrate, they want to also win. It's also a competition. They want to win. So in doing so, they actually go the extra mile to learn about these cultures. And we believe once we learn about each other's culture, we are able to understand each other's culture, we will be able to appreciate it. And once we appreciate it, I think no matter the divide that will arise, especially in the political space, we will be able to transcend and then appreciate each other and be able to unite.
So I just want to, let's take a look at this in the wider perspective. How will the Gambia be able to use cultural diplomacy to strengthen its international relation?
Thank you so much for that. I think that is also one important aspect, because when you look at international relations, it is obviously no longer the traditional one, where it's actually bilateral relations between states, diplomats engaging behind the scene discussing. But in the modern context, you realize that it is much more open, much more transparent. We usually, we have this saying, the track one diplomacy and the track two, which the track one obviously, is centered on government officials, government to government, and the track two obviously look at, non-government, or non-state actors as well, which has to do with cultural group, musicians. They are all cultural, diplomats, or they all engage in international relations and foreign policy. So culture would obviously be very important for the Gambia in terms of selling the Gambia, right? Because small nations like us, we don't have the economic power. We don't have the military capability. What we have most often is actually the influence that we can actually put forward at the international forums or international space. So using our Gambian culture in terms of our musics, in terms of our cuisines, that is our dishes, and also it will help us to promote tourism as well. Because once we sell some of these cultural artifacts to the international partners, it will also enable us to have more tourists, cultural heritage and so on. So it is actually very important. So culture is now beyond the state-to-state diplomatic relations, but it is more of an influence. How do you change the perception of other countries when it comes to the way they look at you? And that is why major powers, even though they are powerful economically, militarily, they are still doing this. You look at China, they are doing it in terms of their Confucius Institute, because language is also an element of culture, right? You look at the likes of Japan, is it yesterday or a week ago, I saw that they are advertising, they want people to go and learn their language, which will be obviously funded by them. So these are things that are actually very important, and states leverage culture to be able to build friendly relations with other countries.
Ibrahim, in terms of the students' relations with this initiative, those that want to partake, how are they going to partake in initiatives like this? And were you in also engagement or conversation with other universities? Because I want to believe this is unique to the Civil Service University. Cultural diplomacy, it's very important.
Well, it's actually a very important thing, like you said. And at our own level as students, these are things that we also use in order to advertise our institution.
Right.
Yeah, because I think this is the first of its kind that we have something called the Cultural Diplomacy Day. And as a matter of fact, you have conversation with student leaders from other universities, and one of the things that they're interested in is the Cultural Diplomacy Day. So it is an initiative that was created for the school, but now it has gone beyond that level. Exactly, it has gone beyond that level. And I think these are the type of things that we actually need to fuel, because like Mr. Jiba rightfully mentioned, Gambia doesn't have the military capability. We do not have the influence to a certain extent, but we have something that is unique, something that everyone in every country in the world wants. And I think these are things that we can actually use at the international relations level to make sure we also sell our country. Like he rightfully mentioned, when you talk about China, one of the things that you talk about is their culture. Right. In fact, as a matter of fact, when we were younger, one of the things that that makes us build interest in China is the Kung Fu. And when you look at it, it's a cultural thing. It's something that is deeply rooted in them. So the issue of the beautiful attires that we wear as the wall of the Fula, the Maninka, these are also things that we can also use to market our country. So at the student level, like I said at the beginning, it is something that the students have embraced. It is something that we are all ready for, and I believe even if we make it to the diplomacy table at the international level, these are the techniques that we can use to actually sell the Gambia to fuel it from the level that it is to another stage.
But how realistic are we, and how serious are we in selling our culture to the international world?
Yeah, as a country.
I mean, is there the will to do it? I mean, it's easy to say, you know, these are things that we can do, these are things that we can showcase, but how are we showcasing it?
Yeah.
I think that is very crucial, connection. And this is where concerted effort comes in. And as a department, what we are trying to do is we are trying to buy in the will of the stakeholders. And that is why whenever we are celebrating this, we try to write to every ministry in the country. Right, even the Office of the President, we send an invitation to the First Lady for her to grace the occasion, and also many government, senior government officials. Because to be honest, if we don't have the commitment of the senior stakeholders in terms of the government,
the political will,
the political will, it's going to be very difficult. Because what we are creating a platform, and this is important because most of the time you realize that even us as Gambians, imagine a Gambian born and raised here for many years, you are looking at the Gambian culture being displayed at our diplomacy event, and you'll be like, what? You'll be wowed.
Yeah.
Wow. Right? But this is something that we can actually push beyond borders. Right? But of course, it needs, commitment from, the people in power. And as diplomats and as an institution that is training diplomats, we believe it is also the responsibility of the diplomats as well. Because diplomats are the ones that are representing us outside our country. And one of their functions is obviously to create friendly relations between the Gambia and those countries. How would you do that? Sometimes you obviously organize a diplomatic dinner to invite your counterparts, fellow diplomats. And one thing you should do is display the culture of your country. The balafons, the chorus. This is actually an instrument that is obviously Gambian. And
so
of course, we are also winning the Jollof debate.
Yes.
So these are things that we can actually push in the international arena. But as I said, the commitment of the government should be there, and also our diplomats. And that's why we are training these young diplomats, so that when they are there, they will be able to obviously appreciate our culture and then be able to set it outside. Because if we don't appreciate it internally, forget it. You have to love something before you can obviously convince anyone to love it.
To love it. So in terms of people that are coming, he did mention that invitations were extended to even the Office of the President. In terms of students that want to partake or participate in events like this, because I want to believe that this is done by the Civil Service University, but it's beyond the Civil Service University. It's a national event. So those that want to partake, how are they going to participate in this event?
At the Civil Service University, we have what is called an open door policy, where we create the space not only for the students that are in the Department of Diplomacy and International Relations, but even students that are in other departments within the school. So you would realize that even a few days ago, we have sent invitations across to different universities, different student union leaders in the universities in the Gambia, not only at the Civil Service University. So it is like we are the ones that are definitely going to entertain you and stuff like that, but you're also free to come and embrace, because it's culture, it has no boundaries.
Yes.
Even if we come from different tribes, once I display my culture, there is something in you that will be ignited. That is the beauty of culture.
Right.
So students that want to come, the entrance is absolutely free. You can absolutely come. Have fun of your lifetime, because like we said, it's a diplomatic event, but at the end of the day, it's going to be very entertaining. And it is not only limited to cultural performances. We normally have poetry performances as well by our own students. So last year we had a very powerful performance by Bintu Sane. She's a national poet, and myself. So it's an open event. It's an open event for every student out there, both primary, junior, senior, and even at the tertiary level. As long as you are free and can come on board to be part of us, you can actually come.
When is this cultural diplomacy?
It will be tomorrow, inshallah. It will be tomorrow, and then, you know, we will start early in the morning from 9 o'clock. We will start with a march pass.
Okay.
You know, with all the different cultures, you know, in their beautiful attires. So we'll have a march from the Civil Service University, the gate. You know, some who don't know the Civil Service University is former MDI, up to around GRTS, and then you know, march back, and then we will start commence the event. So, you know, dignitaries will be there. We expecting ambassadors to be there, and that is why I always tell people, especially students, because we have the responsibility is we want to showcase this, we want to organize this, but we also need the buy-in of the students, their commitment, because without them, you know, we cannot do it. You know, so and again, I will take this opportunity also to say a very big thank you to our students for always being committed when it comes to events like this. And if you see, you know, ambassadors leaving their engagements on a weekday, coming to attend some of these things, then you realize that, you know, I always, you know, tell students in court, it's not fair. You know, it's not a joke. You know, we are, we are really serious about it, and it's diplomacy. It's diplomacy. So it is part and parcel of their career. It's part and parcel of the field, and then we want them to do the practical aspect of it, so that when they are there at the highest level, they will be able to use our Gambian culture to actually attain whatever interest they want to gain at the international space.
Okay. So finally, let's talk about tourism. How do we synchronize tourism with this? Because most tourists will come here just to learn about our culture. You understand?
They don't have the avenues or the place to actually go to. How are we going to synchronize this with tourism?
Yeah, this is very important. And then personally, I think that is something I'm really passionate about, because if you see one of the reasons why the tourism sector is dwindling, it has to do with the fact that they see everything year in, year out. And I think occasions like this, you know, or platforms like this are also avenues for, you know, Ministry of Tourism, you know, Gambia Tourism Board and other stakeholders to also join in. Because occasions like this, they will see things that they have never seen before. Let's say if they have the opportunity to come and then witness it firsthand. It's different from when you see it on TV. Right? We can say, oh, TikTok or TV, this is something that they stage. You know, you see a Jola guy actually getting a knife and all of that. You'll be like, no, this is, and then, but if it happens live, you realize
although
that,
Jolas cannot do that anymore. I know the type of knives they use now. They use plastic knives.
I'm inviting you to witness it. You know, they will tell you, okay, they will be cutting, and then I invite you to tomorrow's event. You will see something. But again, it's not just limited to Jolas. You have the Fullers. You know? And then I think one of the highlights last year was, because this is, you know, they put so much effort in it, especially the students. They actually bring a cow with the calf, and then they actually milk it in front of everybody, you know, with the hearts and everything. So in a typical, you know, culture of Fullers. The same thing with the Manjagos. What they did, they actually bring a dead body, and, you know, even though, you know, we were actually a bit shocked, you know. So all of those things actually show how they are passionate about this. And they are learning each other's culture. And for me, that is the most important part. And we will be divided. Politicians sometimes will actually use rhetorics that will divide us. But once we have this fabric between us, these social fabrics, I think it obviously helps us tremendously. So Ministry of Tourism and Culture, we definitely inviting them to join us. And we can actually make this a national event. You know, every year we actually look at the perfect timing. You know, stakeholders, they can invite, you know, their fellow ministers, culture ministers around the globe to come and witness this. We can make it bigger, better.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jiba and Mr. Jangha, for coming on the program. I wish you a successful cultural diplomacy day.
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
At
it's happening
Civil
at
Service.
the Civil Service
What
University.
What time does it start?
We'll start at 9 o'clock with a march pass.
9 a.m.
With the police band, yes.
Okay.
The police band.
All right. So viewers, will take a short break. After the break, then we will head to the last segment of this program. We'll be back. This is QTV This Morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde and I'm with Julde Njai. Now let's head to the last segment of this program, and we'll be taking a look at researching to end tuberculosis. As you know, tuberculosis remains one of the world's deadliest infectious disease, yet it's both preventable and curable. Despite years of research and intervention, the fight to end TB is far from over. Today, we take a closer look at the science and, of course, the challenges and the urgent need for stronger action in eliminating tuberculosis. Julde, we have Dr. Abdullah Bajan, clinical microbiologist at Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, and, of course, Alaji Job, research coordinator, Medical Research Council. Gentlemen, it's good to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. So, I mean, let's start with Dr. Bajan. Despite years of intervention, it seems, you know, tuberculosis is still prevalent. You know, we're seeing people that have it, although the number is still going down. What's happening, doctor?
Thank you very much. So, like you said, tuberculosis is a very important disease worldwide, especially in the Gambia. And over the years, through the Ministry of Health and its partners like MRC and WHO, we have actually made significant strides against the disease. However, some of the challenges that are coming up is the fact that still tuberculosis is a stigmatized disease. So we still have people with symptoms who fail to present on time. We still have issues with the disease being recognized early enough. And we also have challenges with the development of drug resistance, which is also one of the key factors that are driving the reemergence of tuberculosis as a major problem. In the 90s, we did actually have good outcomes and good controls. But then when HIV started, and then also when we had the development of drug-resistant tuberculosis, then we have a problem. And of recent also, when we had the COVID, it caused a lot of disruption. So it's still a problem. We're still working very hard. The disease, actually, the interventions are doing quite well, but those challenges, as I highlighted, are still around.
What causes TB?
So TB is what we call a bacterial infection. Basically, it's a microorganism that belongs to the family of bacteria. Now, this infection that can be spread from person to person. Usually, it is through through secretion. So it's when somebody coughs, or maybe somebody spits out expectorations from the chest. The organism usually will be contained in there and can be inhaled by somebody else, and subsequently may develop disease. There is what we call latent tuberculosis. These are people who acquire the disease but will not develop symptoms. And unfortunately, that is one of the challenges we have when it comes to managing TB. Because those people, like most of us, in fact, I would say about 50 to 60% of people in the country have latent tuberculosis. Now they can live the rest of their life without having any problem. But then, if they have something else that suppresses their immunity, they develop disease. So that is one of the challenges with managing tuberculosis.
And in that case, how do we deal with cases like that? And do we have the expertise and the laboratories here to detect cases of that?
Yes, so fortunately, in the Gambia, we have a very good network of laboratories for diagnosis. WHO had recommended about 5 years ago that we do what we call molecular diagnosis. And currently in the Gambia, we have 17 sites that can do that test. And we have a transport network that is able to transport samples for testing from almost every health center in the country. So we can assure people in the country that anybody who is suspected of having TB and wants to get a diagnosis, they can get the results within 24 to 48 hours.
TB drug resistance, Mr. Joe. Why is it that drugs are now that people are resistant to these drugs? What are the causes?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. I mean, drug-resistant TB is, can be one of the behaviors of people. Like, for example, these fellows, when they have TB, you know, they are given treatments. Sometimes they differ from the treatment.
Yeah,
Like
because the
you
tablets are not sweet. You need to give us sweet tablets.
Yeah, they think that it's milk, you just drink it like
Yes.
that. So the duration of the treatment is 6 months, but sometimes they default the treatment. And you know, when they default the treatment, this bacteria can mutate, and there are different treatment of, there will be resistant because of that insufficiency of their getting the treatment. So those are one of the factors, and it's causing a lot of troubles in the elimination of tuberculosis, because if the drug cannot treat you again, and the more advanced drug, more expensive drug will be used, that is drug resistant, I mean more drug resistant TB. So and that will also, I mean, cost a lot of money to the government and cost a lot of money to the donor agencies. So the best things that we are advising people is that when you are suspected of TB, go to the nearest hospital, as Dr. Bajan has just said, and be tested. If you got tested and follow advice of the health worker, take your treatment accordingly, regularly, until you are discharged. You are, I mean, cured, declared cured under discharge. Otherwise, you are creating more problem to yourself and to the family, because drug-resistant TB, when you have it, it might kill you if you don't take the treatment seriously, and if you infect another person with the same bug, you will also have a resistant TB, and that might also have a bad link. Yeah.
So now, if someone has TB and the person is resistant, so the person can also supply. You will also be resistant.
Yeah. So avoiding that, be adhere to the treatment, and so that you can be cured.
Oh my God! So has there been any research because we're talking about research? Has there been any research conducted to know the number of people that are affected with this in the country?
Yes. So in fact, what happened in 2024, the National Leprosy and TB Control Program conducted what we call a drug-resistant survey. And we are at the stage of analyzing it. And we now know what our baseline for drug-resistant TB is. Okay. However, before that, there's been what we call, there's regular monitoring based on the number of patients who have been diagnosed in different facilities. So we know from year to year how many cases of drug-resistant TB that we've been diagnosing. Okay. It's not a large number, but it's still significant, because it tells us once you see one patient with tuberculosis, it means that somebody else probably had given him the disease. So we are talking about one index case, probably you have 5 or 10 other people who may have the same disease. So we know the baseline of those with drug-resistant tuberculosis in the Gambia, and the drug-resistant survey that we have done also has given us more information. So we now know how better to utilize our resources to manage the situation of drug-resistant tuberculosis in the country.
Can it be cured?
Yes. It can be cured. Like Mr. Job was saying, when you have drug-resistant tuberculosis, there are drugs you can use for treatment, but they are more expensive and they are more toxic to the patient. So it means that the patient who needs to undergo drug-resistant TB treatment can have side effects that they would not have if they're treated for
the normal.
Yes. Yes. So that's the whole point of trying to avoid getting to that stage. It means that you try as much as possible to get people to adhere to treatment and make sure that they complete treatment successfully, so that they won't develop resistance.
Yeah. So, Mr. Yu, how reliable are our diagnostic equipments in detecting TB?
They are very reliable. And research, as we are discussing research is developing by the day. Initially, we were using microscopy to detect TB. Okay. So sometimes you might miss because it's a microscope that you are using. Now it has gone to the extent of using the Gene Expert, as he has just tell us. You are using Gene Expert, where you can detect even a small amount of bug in the sputum, and you can also use stool to detect TB. I mean, now you can also do culture, but the culture takes a longer period of time. So the faster you get the result, the better for the community, the better for the individual. So now we are using the Gene Expert. That was very expensive. The government has not been able to afford that for some years, but now they are doing extremely very well. That they use the Gene Expert. You can even detect that it is positive, TB or not TB. And not only that, it can also show you whether it's drug-resistant TB or not drug-resistant TB. So initially what we do is we give you the treatment, wait for the culture result to see whether it's resistant or not resistant, or you complete the treatment, we find that you are not getting better, then to be focused on the resistant. But now research has given us this testing model that now you can detect it at the same time and start the treatment, whether you are going to start a normal treatment or you are going to use the drug-resistant resistant TB treatment.
So for a person given, okay, you can complete that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. For a person given TB drugs, some might not take the drugs. Even generally, some people don't like drugs. You understand?
They don't go to
so, and you have to take the dose to get better.
Yeah.
So, what do you do? I mean, do you give them the drugs to take it home and take it?
Yeah, that's the policy that WHO has developed, and that is what the Gambia government is doing now to ensure that the individual takes the treatment regularly, and we observe taking the treatment. That is why we initiate what we call the DOT, the right observation of treatment. You come to the health facility, you stand there, they count the pills and give it to you, swallow it, and you go home. So otherwise, there are some people who are very sick, might not be able to do that every day. But what we do is you have to have someone from the family. So very close family member who will be coming for the drugs, and that individual will assure us that he will give out the medication to the patient. So that individual at home will give you the patient to the drugs to the patient and observe the patient to ensure that he swallows the medication. Otherwise, it's a longer period of time, about 6 months, and it's a daily treatment. So if you are not observing the individual properly, I mean, they may not swallow it. Or if they start getting better, they stop the treatment. So that is why we are initiating
how long does it take normally to cure someone who have TB? Like if the person is following all the right medication, the procedure and everything?
Yeah, that is how research comes in. Initially, it was 1 year. 12 months, you'll be swallowing your medications. But
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. As research comes in, the medication has been changed to 9 months. Now it is 6 months. Now we are still trying to encourage to make sure that we take it even 5 days for treatment.
Yeah.
So that is how science is developed. You need to do more research to get more information about what is happening in individuals. Then you're able to develop more drugs that will help the individual to get better. So now it is 6 months treatment for normal TB treatment. For drug-resistant TB, it could be up to 9 months.
So, but you're saying that, doctor, that if a person coughs, you can transmit this tuberculosis to the next person. Is it safe for someone who has tuberculosis to be staying at home with people?
So if you are undiagnosed or if you are very early in the treatment, it may be a challenge because it means that you may be unknowingly spreading the disease. But the good thing about the tuberculosis treatment is that if you, for example, you have drug-sensitive treatment and you are started on medication, within 2 weeks you become non-infectious. So that is the good thing about it. And even though we give the treatment for 6 months, it is just a period to assure that we do not miss cases. But many people, once they start treatment, after 2 months, when they come for their review and we check their sputum again, we realize that their sputum is in fact clear. So most of them will do very well after 2 months. So, but if you start the treatment also just within a week or two, they become non-infectious. Yes. Because otherwise it will mean that you will have to admit all the TB patients we diagnose, and it's a lot. Over the past years, we've been averaging about almost 3,000 cases each year.
Wow.
So, but for most of them, they will just be slightly ill, or they may have maybe coughing and other things like that. But once you start the treatment with them, 1 week, 2 weeks, they are non-infectious. Now, to also protect the other people that they are living around, we have what we call contact tracing. This is where the leprosy and TB inspectors who are distributed across the country, once they have diagnosed a new patient, they will find out who are the close contacts of that person, who are the children living with that person, the adults living with that person. And then they will try to get those people and also screen them. And if they screen them and realize that they have active disease, they put them on treatment. Or if we identify latent TB in them, especially in children, we'll also give them some treatment for that. So there is constant monitoring of these patients to make sure that during the time of treatment, they will not pass the disease on to somebody else.
Yeah. So is TB treatment, the funding for TB treatment, is it sufficient, or is the or authorities, are they neglecting that treatment for other diseases?
So luckily for us, we have support through the Global Fund. And one of the things that we have in the Gambia is that so far, as far as I can recall, we have never had what we call a drug stockout. That is, we've not had a point where treatment cannot be given because medications are not available. So for that, we are on a good side. However, you know what the global environment is right now. A lot of funding has been cut. So we know that in the future,
we may need more investment. So we are actually organizing a scientific conference in June from the 3rd to the 4th, in which we will be highlighting a lot of these things as part of the World TB celebration. And we'll be inviting international partners also, so that we look at what has been done in the country and also how going forward we can address some of these issues. So as of now, we are actually in a good state when it comes to diagnostic, when it comes to treatment. No patient in this country ever fails treatment because drugs were not available. However, looking forward, if we diagnose more cases and the amount of investment that we put in is inadequate, then there may be challenges.
And how much do I pay for the treatment?
It is free.
It's free.
Oh, it's free of charge.
Okay.
So to diagnose you is free, for treatment is free.
Oh, okay.
Because the world have decided that we want to get rid of tuberculosis. And if it is a disease that you want to charge treatment for, then you won't be able to complete that. So the idea is to identify the patients, because that is the biggest challenge. Once you have been identified, your testing, you will not pay anything for it. And the drugs that we'll give you for the treatment, you won't pay anything.
Free of charge.
It's free.
And is this available to all health facilities? I mean, the laboratories and the medications, are they available to all the health facilities in the country?
So across the country, we have more than 50, what we call, like he said, dot sites. These are clinics that are special for treating disease, usually for treating tuberculosis. They're usually found within hospitals. Most of them, almost 95% of them, also have an attached lab so that they can do the diagnosis also. And then in all the regional stores in the country, in all the health regions, they have stocks of the medication. Even if in the hospital they run out, they can very quickly request to have the drugs from these facilities. Yes. So it shouldn't be a challenge to get medication for any patient that we have in this country. Yes.
So, Mr. Job, how often should a person get themselves tested to know their status quo as far as tuberculosis is concerned? And are there vaccines that you can take to prevent yourself from having this?
I mean, TB, I mean, we are not doing routine tests for everyone. I mean, what we are doing is anybody who is symptomatic can go to the nearest health facility to be tested. If you are within Combo, most of the government has facilities in Combo having tuberculosis lab tests, TB lab tests that you can be tested for TB. Yeah, your next question again?
Like, what I mean is every year, for instance, you know, for cancer, they will say every year it's advisable that you go and check to know your status and all of. Does that apply to TB as well? How often should you go and get tested to know your status?
Yes, so like you said, symptoms are very important. Now, even if without symptoms you feel that, okay, I've been in contact with somebody who is coughing and you are worried, you can still present. Because the classic symptoms of tuberculosis are somebody who is having weight loss, losing abnormally, you are losing weight, and it wasn't deliberate or intentional. You are coughing. You've noticed that at night you wake up and you are feeling hot and you are sweaty. So those kind of symptoms, if you have, you can go and report and you'll be screened. We also, as part of the Ministry of Health, we do what we call active case finding. So in hospitals also, if you come there for something else, for example, if you go to Kanifing General Hospital and you come there, maybe you are a diabetic patient, they may say, okay, let's just screen you for TB because we know that you may be at risk. Or we may go out into the community and then do some community activities just to do some screening and see what it is looking like. Because like I said, many people will have TB and they will not have symptoms. For the issue of the vaccine, yes, there's a vaccine and we've all had it as a child. You remember the one that causes the scar? That is what we call the BCG vaccine.
But it does not cause that anymore to kids. No. I think that is like our national identity card.
Maybe it's the immunity.
We were using the pistol then. Yes. Now we are using this single needle.
Yes. So the scars are smaller now.
They have changed it.
Yes, but the BCG vaccine is available. It doesn't stop you from having TB, but it stops children from developing severe complications. However, there are also studies that are ongoing on new vaccines across, I think there was latest in Cameroon and other parts of the world. We've not reached the point yet where we have a vaccine that we can say it will 100% protect people from tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis.
However,
Okay.
there is still this BCG that is around, and we still give it. The moment you are born, you are supposed to get it within 24 hours, and it will protect you from having severe disease.
Finally,
this is where funding comes in.
Yeah.
As you are saying, where we
Yeah.
have fundings. This
Yes.
is why funding comes. We need more funds
need more
to
money.
do more researches on
Research.
tuberculosis.
Okay.
Because since BCG vaccines, there are no more
Nothing else.
effective
Yeah.
vaccines. And the everyday research is cycle, vaccines research are cycle. Even in Gambia here, we did one at Fajekunda initially,
Okay.
but it doesn't cover the percentage that we need to cover to be able to introduce it in the country.
Okay.
So that is why more researches are needed in order to shorten the treatment. More research is needed to fast treatment, for shorter treatment. More
Yeah.
research is needed to do more investigations on TB, and more research is needed to develop
Thank you.
vaccines.
Dr. Bajan, finally, can you give us the statistics of people affected by tuberculosis in the Gambia and the number of deaths?
Yes, so like I said before, annually we receive usually around 2,800. In 2024, the prevalence, the incident rate of tuberculosis in the Gambia was about 139 cases per 100,000. Now, this is not a high burden statistics. It is more of a low burden. So, but the Gambia, what we call ourselves, is a low burden but high incident country. When it comes to mortality, of the number of cases that we have, usually around 5% are lost through mortality, those who actually die. So it means that of our 2,800 cases, somewhere around 100 cases may end up dying because probably they presented late to the health facilities or they have other complications that made treatment difficult.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Job and Bajan, for coming on the program. I think these are conversations that we should be having. You know, I can remember when I was much younger, there was a young man that contracted this tuberculosis. And, you know, now if I sit and think about it, I feel very bad because everybody left him.
Yeah.
We gave him his cup, we gave him his bowl, we gave him even his kettle. Nobody gets it.
Excuse me to clarify that, because that's a very serious problem, and that is what is stigmatizing people.
Yes, we stigmatize him, we segregated
and that
him.
stigma will avoid you from going to the health facility and present yourself as TB. Sharing cups, eating the same bowl does not give TB.
Yeah.
Those are things that people have been thinking of,
It's a
but
myth.
research has told that no. As Dr. Bajan has said, you cough and inhale the bug, and it enters your stomach. But I can drink my cup of tea and give it to you, and you drink it, and
nothing
you not get
happens.
TB.
Okay.
So never isolate people
Yeah,
to
we-
give them
we-
their own
we-
stuff.
we did
Initially,
that.
I understand they even burn it after they have even
yes,
get
yes.
treated,
Yeah.
which is very, very bad.
Yes, we did that.
Yes.
And
So
and
we'll be
I'm
having the scientific forum on
Yes.
the 3rd and 4th of June.
Okay.
At the Salawada
Karabakh Conference Center.
Yes. and the
Okay.
people- so
We
we'll
almost
look for
forgot
them.
the date
Yeah.
and,
We did,
the
yeah.
day itself. Yes.
So the importance
Thank
of it
you.
is just advancing evidence
Thank
to
you.
NTB.
Thank you.
in
So we've
Gambia.
exhausted this time already. Thank you very much, Julde. This is all we have.
Until we come your way tomorrow for another edition of
Tomorrow
Teaching.
again.
Okay.
Yeah, so viewers, enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.